Mr. DeFazio, I want to also thank you, and I appreciate your long-standing and enlightened view on trade policy. You have been proven to be correct about this, and I want to thank Mr. Graves and the members of the committee. On behalf of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, a labor-business partnership, thanks for the opportunity to testify. I'm going to summarize my written testimony by making 3 points. First, China's state-owned enterprises and Beijing's economic policies that support these firms are a real threat to American jobs and security. Second, firms in the rail and bus transit space, such as CRRC and BYD, that have established a foothold in the United States, thanks in part to government contracts financed by taxpayers, are part of this web and represent the tip of the iceberg. Third, you can protect American jobs and security and demand reciprocity through legislation and regulation. China's model of state-led capitalism has contributed to the loss of 3.4 million U.S. jobs and the hollowing out of our industrial base, as dumped and subsidized imports surged into our market since China joined the WTO in 2001. China heavily subsidizes its 51,000 state-owned enterprises in almost every industry imaginable. These SOEs have devastated broad swaths of American manufacturing through dumping products, by building up overcapacity and targeting American firms with cyber hacking and IP theft. The SOEs are also supported by policies including, but not limited to, discriminatory loan rates, tax rates, direct subsidies, protected home markets, lax labor and environmental regulation, and exchange rate misalignment. Put simply, firms in the U.S. and elsewhere are not competing with other companies. Rather, they are competing with an entire nation, which has amassed $29 trillion in value for these state-owned enterprises. And now these SOEs threaten the infrastructure arena. Two such firms, CRRC and BYD, have begun securing lucrative U.S. taxpayer-financed contracts to supply our major cities with transit rail cars and electric buses. Their ambitions are sizable, establishing a substantial foothold in public procurement as a means of expanding into private sectors such as freight rail and passenger automobile markets, as I illustrate in my written testimony. CRRC is systematically working to drive established competitors out of the market and achieve a monopoly in transit rail car production. Now, if successful, this would be a disaster for taxpayers and for transit providers that are looking for legitimate, fair, and broad competition for their contracts. And you can look at the Australian market for perspective. In just the last decade, CRRC undertook a similar campaign leading to the obliteration of that country's domestic rail manufacturing sector. And while final assembly of CRRC rail cars may be local, component and parts manufacturing include heavy Chinese content. CRRC's U.S. assembly plants are a vehicle for this content to be delivered into the U.S. market. That puts 90,000 high-wage jobs, many of them unionized, in 750 companies in 39 states at risk of being displaced. Dominating the medium and heavy-duty electric bus sector is also in Beijing's plans. A key feature of China's industrial policy is the support of national champions such as BYD. BYD's revenue growth has coincided closely with the trend of government-supported subsidies, access to below-market rate capital, and other industrial policies. And it's clear that BYD is also a delivery system for Chinese imports at taxpayer expense. An Inspector General report issued by the city of Albuquerque calls into question the legitimacy of BYD's compliance with federal Buy America laws. Further evidence to support these assertions include BYD's public comments to the USTR requesting Section 301 tariff relief for made-in-China storage batteries, parts, and electric vehicles, specifically noting 4 electric bus models. Already the world's largest electric vehicle company by sales, BYD executives have been outspoken in their plans to one day sell passenger cars in the United States. Now, this model would threaten over 5,600 parts suppliers spread across the nation, employing 871,000 workers, the very heart of American manufacturing. My testimony today should not be read as an attack on the American workers employed by CRRC or BYD, nor on foreign investment. We must respect the dignity of work and encourage foreign investment. But this is no ordinary foreign investment. Our workers and firms in the supply chain are not competing with a company in CRRC or BYD. They are competing with an entire country. I have policy recommendations that I'm happy to discuss in Q&A, and I want to thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman. Next would be Brigadier General Adams.
Good morning, Chairman DeFazio.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. Thank you.